In this video, I will be continuing the mixed media series that I'm doing, and I'll be doing affirmation, poetry, and quote cards. The supplies that you will need are mixed media or watercolor paper cut down to whatever card size you'd like, acrylic and or watercolor paints, paintbrushes, scissors, permanent and or acrylic paint markers, collage papers, water, and paper towels. And these are some examples of what I'll be doing. So I'm basically creating a background with paint using some different techniques. And then I'm using permanent marker or acrylic paint markers to write either affirmations, poetry excerpts, or quotes onto the cards. So I'm doing this kind of card first, where I'm leaving some white on the top and bottom. And then on this one, I'm going to cover the whole card with paint. And I usually work on several at a time, just to kind of give things time to dry, and I can always work on another one while one card is drying. So I'm painting the background of one card, and I'm using the paint while it's wet to kind of create a stamping technique on the other card. So I'm going to put those aside, and then I'm going to grab this one now, which is dry, and I'm going to create a border around it using like a gold color. I'm also using a little bit of green mixed in. So I'm going to put that aside, and while that's drying, I'm going to grab this card again, and I'm going to paint over with purple. When you do this technique, I would suggest using a darker or much brighter color than the color underneath. So I'm just splattering paint on it, and I'm going to let that sit for about a minute. And then now I'm just going to create a circle. And then I'm also going to let the water drip from the top of this card. So these are just some techniques that I like to do in my own work to create simple backgrounds. And I'm going to let that sit for a second. And then now back to the splattered water. I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper, push it down onto the water and paint. And when I pull it away, you can see the paint will come up. And I'm actually going to hold on to this piece of paper because I might use it later. So this is a background I've got for this. And then I'm going back to this card. And for this, I'm going to add some collage pieces of paper. So I'm cutting out a flower that I'm going to add to this. I'm just going to use tacky glue to glue it down. And this is usually the way I work, even with paintings, is I usually move from one piece to the next, and then I'll come back around just to give things time to dry. So then I'm also going to put some leaves underneath the flower. I'm just going to glue them down. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some of my markers. And I'm just going to add little designs, like wavy lines around the border with a different color, just to give it a little extra. And do some more lines with a different color. And this is just to brighten up that border a little bit. And then I'm going to start writing just kind of like an affirmation. And this is a chalkboard marker that I'm using, but it is running out. So I just grabbed this is like the kind of marker that kids use in school, and it works just as well. It writes over the paint really well. And luckily it was a similar color. I'm just adding a little more color around the border with lines and like circles. And then I'm actually going to go over this again with some blue. Sometimes when I write words, I do like to do one color and then do a different color over it. And so now I'm going to take that card that I was letting sit with the water dripping, and I'm just taking a paper towel, taking the paint away, and you can see how it kind of left a little bit of white and lighter pink. And then I got the other card now where I am adding some words. And this is just kind of it could be considered an affirmation or like a quote or even a poetry excerpt. It's just something that I came up with on the top of my head. And I'm just going back over it with a different marker that's a little bit thicker. As you can see, a lot of my markers are running low, so I had to grab another one. And then here I've just got some pink, and I'm just doing little lines and circles to add with the little pink circles in the background. And then this one, I really like the way that this came out with the background. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of mix this maroon color with a little bit of pink to lighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to use this very thin paintbrush, and I'm going to use the paint to write words. And again, I'm just coming up with something off the top of my head. But you can always do like favorite song lyrics or affirmations. And with these, I've got a lot of these cards just around my place, and but you can always give them to people as like little gifts, or you can hang them up maybe like in your bathroom or in your room. Just to have them there to give you some good vibes. And then now I'm just going over that red with some purple. And it does take a little bit longer when you're using paint because you have to be really careful. But I try not to be too slow when I do it with the paint. If I make quick strokes with the paintbrush to make the letters, that's easier than trying to do like slow parts. It's just kind of like taking a chance of hoping that it comes out good. So I've got the writing done, and then now I'm going to splatter some paint, some yellow paint onto it. So I've got the yellow paint, I'm adding a little bit of white to make it a little lighter. And whenever I splatter paint, I put a little bit of water to make it really thin because it's easier to do it that way. And it is getting all over the lettering, so all I'm doing is going through and kind of wiping it away. I don't mind it being on some of it, but just kind of go through and see what I want to take off. And so that is the end of that. It's just a quick video to show how to make these little cards. Again, you can always give these to people. They're really easy to make. You don't need a whole lot of supplies. And a lot of times people do really enjoy handmade things. And I've got more videos coming up soon for the mixed media series.